I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the council of the village of Chase. Held in the I was just getting a text, to be held here at the council chamber at the village office, 826 Okanagan Avenue. And via Zoom on January 13th, 2026 at 4 p.m. And I need a motion to adopt the agenda with the amendment of switching the delegations 6.1 and 6.2.
I move that the minutes of the December 23rd, 25.
No, we're adopting the agenda.
Oh, the agenda. Oh, sorry. The agenda of the January 13th, 2026 regular meeting be adopted as amended.
Seconded, Councillor Torban. All in favor? That's carried. 3, adoption of the minutes. And there's as amended as well, whoever wants to make that motion.
I'll move that the minutes of the December 23rd regular meeting be adopted as presented.
As amended?
As amended.
You have a white paper copy, Councillor Torban, did you get that?
Yep.
Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Did we get a first and seconder?
I'll second it.
And second.
Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Number 4, there's no public hearings. 5, public input on current agenda items. This is an opportunity for members of the gallery to provide input on items on this agenda. Is there anyone that would wish to speak on any item on this agenda? 1, 2, 2. Who wants to go first and just state your name and address, please?
Don't want me to stand up at all?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Andrew McLaren, 462 Maple Place in Chase. I just really want to endorse our society, our Chase Environmental Action Society would like to endorse the pilot project, the TNRD composting program. It's long in coming, so I'm totally excited, and so is the rest of the board. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. And next, name and address.
Peter Vanderhoof, 39 Willow Street. In relation to item 9, proposed tree donation program. You don't know where these trees are going to go, or are they as need be, or what? I'm going to donate a tree, but I'm not going to look after it after I give it to you. I'll give you a tree, and you can do with it what you want. And for Linda, I would it's a memorial tree, and it would be, I would prefer to have a small leaf linden if I could get that. I could, because you can do anything with it. You can eat it, you can make tea with it, and you can do it. That's true.
I know.
And it smells good in the spring. So I just want to know what you think of that. If you're willing to go the way I would suggest, then I'm willing to buy one for you.
Yeah, duly noted, and I think staff took down a quick note and see the public works listening to you. Is there anybody else? Do we have anybody at all on Zoom? Oh, how do you see that? Oh, William's iPhone, is that? Okay. So we have nobody else.
Just one more thing.
Oh. Yes.
Could I just say, I didn't realize I hadn't had a chance to look at the agenda, but I am so, yes, support 9.1 and 9.2 is exciting news, so.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, anything else from the public? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much for your input. We're now going to go to delegations, and we've moved 6.2 ahead as Beverly has a longer drive. And thank you, Adriana. Thank you for letting us switch. Bev's got a little bit longer drive to get back to her homes. So, Bev, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Thank you so much for inviting me here today to speak. I would just like to say I'm from the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association. And we oversee tourism development, destination development, experience, and marketing of this particular area. I was previously from Tourism Kamloops as a CEO and retired, but I didn't do it very well. So now I work on contract for destination development for the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association. And I just put Mike's mug on there because he is also working with me in this area. So if I'm not available or not around, Mike would be someone that would be a good resource to talk to. Next slide, please. The Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association is a destination development organization. It covers approximately 71,000 square kilometers, and about the size of Ireland. So it's a big area, and we're part of the Destination BC and the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. There's 26 slides, so I'm going to go through this super quick. Very much a macro view. The Thompson Okanagan also encompasses 120 communities, including 33 Indigenous communities and 3,500 tourism businesses. There are 9 sub-regions within British Columbia, of which the Thompson Okanagan is one of them and one of the largest ones. Next, please. We are driven by our 10-year strategy document, and that includes regional development projects, accessible tourism, Indigenous tourism, crisis management. We all know wildfire implications in and around this area. The mayor was kind enough to take me on a little walk today and show me some of the on-the-ground trail development projects that are available or looking towards the future of this community. We also work with various partners, both private and public sector, and always within a sustainable and developmental lens in everything that we do. Next, please. Next. I just threw these in here to give you an idea of the value of tourism within the Thompson Okanagan as it compares to all across British Columbia. Tourism is one of the largest drivers of economic benefit within British Columbia. It is also one of the largest employers for our province. And we all realize the hurt that happens when tourism goes away during COVID with the businesses that were closed, both in hospitality, retail, and the residual businesses that feed off of the mobility of both our domestic visitors and also our visitors from the United States and from international. So total estimated vacations to date was around 6 million total trips that encompass 15.5 million total nights, overnight stays. Our employment is up from 2024, and we continue to hope for increases in that. So more than 47,000 people were employed in the tourism industry in the Thompson Okanagan alone. You can see within BC, 328,000, and we are above that increase. So what we're seeing on these trends is that the Thompson Okanagan is growing faster than the provincial rate, which bodes huge economic opportunity for anybody within the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association. Next slide, please. This is just breaking down into sectors, which ones are growing and which ones are stagnant. You can see transportation and accommodation are showing growth. Food and beverage has dropped a little bit, and recreation and entertainment is just growing slightly as well. The most opportunity we're seeing is in transportation and travel. Most of our visitation does come from domestic, 5.5 million total trips and 13,617,000 domestic travelers to date. U.S. visitation, there are second, and domestic is Canada, wholly Canada, and U.S. does not include international travelers, just simply stands on its own. We expect those US visitations to go up as we do with international, due to the political climate of our favorite neighbors to the south. Next, please. International trips have pretty much stayed the same. And again, with FIFA coming and the political environment, we're seeing increases consistently year to date. Well, it's only January, but when I talk year to date for the purposes of this is 2025. And so international visitorship is a huge opportunity for British Columbia and again, the folks within the Thompson Okanagan and how we attract those international travelers. You can see from this slide that British Columbia, travel within British Columbia into our region is our highest visitation. Day trips, weekend trips, short haul. And Alberta is our second at about 15%. When we look at international, our biggest international visitors are the German population. We find our German visitors love the great outdoors, the wide open spaces. They don't just love to see it from a car, they love to get out. And this is why trail development and experience development that sets itself in nature is critically important development pieces for this region. The United Kingdom, still strong visitation, Australia, Mexico, and China. Historically, the Chinese visitors have spent most of their time in larger centers because of the availability to shopping and maybe more higher end experiences. But the younger demographic of the Chinese population is more and more becoming involved in nature and outdoor adventure travel. And they love those iconic moments to take photos and selfies and then put them all over the place on social media. And we love that for sure. US, our biggest visitors from the US, no surprise, Washington, followed by California, Hawaii, which is surprising, and Florida and Texas. Now, Hawaii, you go, why Hawaii? Again, Hawaii is founded in nature. A lot of hanging out on the BC coast is familiar to them, and not necessarily the weather, but the just the total situation. Next, please. Accommodation. In British Columbia, year to date, the accommodation was almost 80%, with average daily rate of $275. This, we'll get to Vancouver and Victoria, that dries up that average daily rate. So when you come to the Thompson Okanagan, you can see that our occupancy is right on par, but we are much more affordable than some of the major centers overall. Next, please. So with Thompson Okanagan Tourism, we ensure and consult on socioeconomic impact. I had a great conversation today just talking about what tourism can do for the village of Chase and communities around Chase. We all know that tourism cannot be built in isolation, that, you know, whether you like it or not, we are part of an ecosystem that includes the North Okanagan Shuswap area. And so folks may not come for a 2-week holiday in Chase, but we can keep them in the area by promoting Kamloops, Clearwater, these circle routes, Salmon Arm. Whatever we build around our communities will drive tourism to our area, and we will definitely see the value of that visitation. Also talking about the value of tourism, I'd love to do a study for your area and see what the value of tourism currently is and how we can move that dial to bring economic benefit to the community. We always look at building tourism with community first lens. So whatever benefits the community naturally will benefit a visitor. And we love to have tourism dollars pay for community infrastructure. That is a perfect solution for the tourism economy. So I'm hoping for many more conversations regarding that. We also support any sort of marketing strategies, strategic planning. Destination development is my Billy Wick. I get pretty excited about that. And sector development such as mountain biking, water, ski, trails, and product and experience development. to get people to come, you have to have product and experiences that are going to entice them to come and spend their money in this area. Next, please. I won't get into too much of this stuff, but we do have a Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association is a not-for-profit that is, I mentioned before, at arm's length from the ministry. So we are a society, and that we support tourism in a not-for-profit way. But what we found over many years of doing this is that some of the smaller centers don't have the resources to create a marketing department or create, you know, some sort of other support services. And so what we have is we have Symphony Travel Services, that is a business side of Thompson Okanagan. So we can support end-to-end on some of the initiatives that the communities are doing very affordably, because we are supported in other ways. When we look at destination development, first and foremost, we look at reducing our carbon footprint. We don't just build to build, we build with purpose, and building and supporting green infrastructure, net positive experiences. And we follow consistently, as much as we can, the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. TODA was the first Biosphere certified gold destination globally in North America. And we have since certified different organizations, cities. Thompson Rivers University is going through it right now. And it's just a matter of looking at what we can do better, build better, behave better, and give back better. And we have someone completely dedicated to talking to businesses, communities, and other folks about biosphere certification that aligns with the UN Sustainable Goals for Development. We do have an affirmation. We do expect visitors, when they come to the Thompson Okanagan, to behave in a specific way and honor what we do. So along with our Indigenous communities across our region, we came up with the Affirmations Pledge. And it is on the website, but really it looks at looking at our true roots, honoring the communities that we invite people into. We want to live in harmony, travel safely through the region, tread lightly, leave it better than you found it, shop local, and educate others about what you've learned here and how we behave. So at one time pre-COVID, you would, when you were arriving into some of the areas in the Thompson Okanagan, this would actually come up on your phone, and it would as a reminder of you're here. And that was a project we did with TELUS. It kind of went by the wayside, but I know we'd love to dust it off. So the minute that we hit those geofencing borders, that this affirmation comes up and says, you're now in the Thompson Okanagan, and this is, as a visitor, we welcome you here, and we'd like you to honor these. Next, please. We work very, very closely with our Indigenous communities. We do have Indigenous specialists that work with us to ensure that we are following protocol and that we are inclusive and engaging. And there is just so much opportunity for Indigenous experience development. Our international visitors really are curious about our history, and we need the right people and the right experiences to give them those experiences. There is 94 Indigenous tourism operators within the Thompson Okanagan, and 18% of Indigenous Tourism BC stakeholders are in this region, as Ross can see. And then this goes into the Indigenous Tourism BC members by sector, and we have the highest concentration of tourism interest in all of British Columbia. There is a lot more communities along the coast and into northern BC, but they're not necessarily accessible to the masses, nor can they tolerate visitation in their areas. So again, with community in mind, TODA has been very proactive and very committed to working with our Indigenous communities to build economic benefit where it is relevant and welcome. DBC Iconics. So there's a lot of things happening right now. DBC is Destination British Columbia. They are an arm's length from the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. There are right now, the Iconics are a marketing initiative strategy that has been in the works for 5 or 6 years through Destination BC. And what it is back to my point about we need to move people around our province to bring benefit to everybody, just as we need to move people around our local communities. And so the Iconics are meant to take people away from, it's probably not the right word, to move people and disperse them away from like Vancouver, Victoria, once they've been there. And so what you find is a lot of international travelers come into Vancouver, Victoria, and then they drive around or fly around Jasper, Banff, Calgary, fly home. On those second visits, we want them, they've got a taste of it, and now they want to see and indulge a little bit more. But how do they do that? We are a very intimidating province and country to travel around. You travel for hours and you may not see another city, unlike places in Europe and in the United States. So the benefit for Chase and the communities around here is that we fall within 2 of the iconic trails that Destination BC is currently investing in. Rainforest to Rockies, which takes us from basically Vancouver to the Alberta border along the Trans-Canada Highway, and just little detours along the way. There's huge investment going into marketing this pathway and this iconic. The other one is Nature's Heartland, which really runs from Highway 1 north. And although Chase isn't exactly in that one, the residual of what we're building actually fits within Nature's Heartland. So there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars going into development of these iconics that now we can draft behind what DBC is doing, what Thompson Okanagan is doing, and then use those efforts to continue to drive tourism here. So when I talk about development in this area and investment in this area, if ever Chase was looking to expand and really think about tourism as a huge economic driver for the area, I think now's the time. I don't think, I know. Through the integration of developing compelling brands, we're going to move people and disperse them throughout British Columbia. The 2 that are completed out of the 4 that are completed are the 2 that I mentioned that really touch on Chase. So what they've identified, I think it's on the next slide. Yes, is that they've identified existing experiences and what experiences are lacking to continue to drive people into our areas. So we've identified what experiences are here and how we need to elevate those experiences and what experiences we need to introduce. Encounters are touch points. How do we become part of this iconic? And then the touch points is like signage, like you're doing on your trails with the Indigenous signage and storytelling. How do we touch visitors in a meaningful way that they'll want to return in and be immersed into our community? So this is a whole strategy that needs its own session at some point, but this is a huge benefit to this area as far as destination development goes. These are the 19 development strategies of which I was involved in, I think 10 developing in and around British Columbia. And there are sub-regional strategies that the North Okanagan Shuswap, again, Chase is in this enviable position of being part of the North Okanagan Shuswap and part of the North Thompson-Nicola Valley sub-regional strategy. Now, I've always felt, and the reason I've been involved in so many developing of these strategies is that we need to think more macro when we approach development of anything we do. Chase cannot be successful on its own, but Chase can be successful And let's say Sorrento can't be successful, or Salmon Arm can't be successful, or Kamloops for that matter, without everybody working together to create a destination that we want to visit and travel around in. I used to say when I was with Tourism Kamloops, is that nobody's coming to Kamloops for their 2-week vacation. I've never heard anybody say, "Look, sign me up, I want to hang out in Kamloops, please." But I want you to come to Kamloops, tour around this amazing region, and then come back through and spend your money here. Or at least stay here long enough and then disperse it. But when we look at destination development, we need to really, really look at areas around where we are, such as Kamloops and a huge partnership we have with Sun Peaks. You know, when I first came again to Kamloops, they said, we're not spending any money to support Sun Peaks. That would be ridiculous because they fly into our area, they drive, they buy groceries, we support events, and we support each other, and it has worked out really, really well. Next, please. So this is just a picture of what the destination development strategy is and what we revamped in 2022. And I'll make that available to you folks to have a look at. This is what came out of it. So this is the action plan. This is my job. You can't read it, I'm sorry, but this is my job title. So out of that strategy, we took out of 34 initiatives. Every year we review this as a community and as a group, and we say, what do we want to concentrate on this year? And then that's what I'm told I have to be for the year for North Thompson, Nicola Valley, North Okanagan, Shuswap, the 2 areas I'm responsible for. You can't read it, but if you could read on the second one. It says continue to implement all existing trail strategies, opportunities. So trails are something that you guys already have that you know people just can pull off the road and do. But you've also got history, you have Indigenous, and they're all in this document and they're all prioritized. And so again, this review is a full day review of this that happens. And I'm happy to come back at any time and have a meeting with your community and go through this in much more detail, how we can support tourism growth, grow your visitor economy, how to partner with other communities, how to partner with Destination BC, Thompson Okanagan, and how to really build a very robust tourism economy to support your community employment and economic development. I think that's it. Is that it? Yeah. Did I talk fast enough? I don't know.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Bev, and any questions from council at this moment? No, that was absolutely great. The only thing you didn't mention, maybe a little bit about Shuswap tourism.
Yeah, so Shuswap tourism, I think we all know is kind of just put everything on pause while they reevaluate what they want to do. I'm going to be talking to some of the folks that are still working on a tourism strategy for Shuswap. I have been working with Salmon Arm and Sicamous, which were part of the Shuswap Tourism Association. And so hopefully we'll be able to discuss with them. I think it's a brilliant strategy. Again, back to what I said before about it takes a village and a bigger village than Chase to create a tourism economy. And they were on the right track. There was just some things that didn't work for all the stakeholders. So if we can work through that with them, I think that this would be a really great start for Chase, for Anglemont, for Sorrento, and all the communities in between to kind of dust that off and get it back up and running again. So when they kind of took their pause, this area is very important to the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, and they took notice of this, and they've made it a priority for us to continue to have these conversations and work with their organization to see what we can do to bring that back, and the communities to come together, work together, and see how we can benefit with everybody. Is that what you're, Mayor, is that what you were referring to?
Oh, perfect, because you had mentioned that
Yeah.
earlier, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big gap. in this area, especially now with so much going on and so much investment coming into this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and
Thank you for having me today.
Yes.
Appreciate it, and thank you for everything. And I'm gonna leave both of you guys, very nice meeting you. I hope this is the first meeting of the day.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, we'll now go on to the next delegation, and it's Adriana, I can't pronounce your last name.
You.
Pardon me?
May you.
Mayu?
Yeah.
Thank you. So you have the floor, Adriana.
Thank you very much. We're wondering if our slideshow came through. And if you have it available to put up on the screens. Perfect. Okay, well, thank you, council. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. My name is Adriana Mayu. I'm the manager of solid waste and recycling for the TNRD. I'm joined by Tatiana Mueller. She is our waste reduction coordinator. She'll actually be giving our presentation to the group. And we're joined by Ashton as well from Chase and Services today. I'll hand it over to you, Tatiana. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you for having us today. I'm excited to talk about our community compost pilot project proposal. And as Adriana mentioned, we're also joined by Ashley here. We can move on to the next slide, please. Okay, perfect. So first of all, I'll give a little bit of an overview of why we want to have a community compost initiative here in Chase. And then I'll get into the specifics of the project scope, the type of composting, where we can like to have it, as well as some concerns that often come up with composting projects. So the primary purpose of having a community compost project is to reduce the amount of compostable materials that are in our landfill. In 2024, 44% of all of the material in our landfill by weight was compostable organics like food waste. And there's several reasons why this is something we need to address. Firstly, because organic waste in landfills releases methane emissions when it is broken down. And that, of course, contributes to climate change, among other things. And secondly, because it takes up valuable space in our landfill, which subsequently costs taxpayer money. And this is why it is a priority outlined in our regional solid waste management plan. And then secondly, composting is a win-win because it also creates this nice healthy soil that not only sequesters, pulls some of that greenhouse gas back into the soil, but it also gives local community gardens, gardeners, and farms really high quality soil that helps with their food systems. It also gives us an opportunity to teach composting in a hands-on manner, and also gives people that might not be able to compost in their own backyards for whatever reason, an opportunity to divert that organic waste. Yeah. So the system that we're hoping to put in place here is these 3-bin compost units. We're hoping to do 2 of them, and they'll be about 4 foot by 4 foot by 12 foot each. And they'll be made out of cedar wood with removable planks on this front section here. They'll be lined in a wire mesh lining, and they'll also have some lids that have lid locks on them to keep them nice and secure. The reason we picked this system is because it allows for a continuous production of finished compost and also continuous flow of new food scraps into the system. So you can kind of see it on the side panel there, although it's covered a bit in the zoom, but that's okay. Basically how it works is you take the new material, you put it into the first bin, and then once that starts to get full and break down, you shuffle it over to the second bin. And so it is a bit of a labor intensive process. You're shoveling this from one bin to the next pretty often, but like I mentioned, it lets a continuous flow happen once the system is established there. And we're estimating that with these 2 3-bin systems, we could have about 20 households worth of organic waste put through there, as well as yard waste, garden scraps, that type of thing. in terms of what types of materials, most food scraps that we think about as compostable, like veggie peels, fruit peels, that type of thing. Those are all good to go in there, as well as yard and garden waste. And we're hoping to start this program this spring if everything goes smoothly and we can move it forward. In terms of who's doing what, the TNRD will be providing the 3-bin systems themselves and having them installed, as well as the basic tools that are needed for composting, like shovels and wing dingers, thermometers, that type of thing, as well as an ongoing supply of wood chips, which I'll explain in a moment why that's important there. And we also will be providing educational resources and support as different issues might arise, as this is a pilot project. And because the system is quite labor intensive, we will be providing a $7,000 grant to cover payment of a community champion who will be responsible for taking care of the system and keeping an eye on things. So the community champion will be responsible for making sure that the system is working as it should, basically moving the materials through those bins, as I mentioned before, and adjusting the ratios of greens, which are most of those food scraps, the browns, which in this case will be wood chips, as well as some water and air. So sometimes it needs to be aerated. And we've estimated that at about 6 hours per week, but that'll vary seasonally. And then, as this is a pilot project, we'd also like the community champion to estimate how much food waste is coming into the system and how much finished compost is going out, so that we can bring more households on board or maybe limit them to make sure that everything is working as it should there. And then finally, Chasen Area Family Services, as our touch point, boots on the ground in the community, will be responsible for keeping an eye on the system and overseeing the community champion, as well as using or distributing as they see fit the finished compost. And again, just keeping in touch with us to make sure that if there are any issues that arise, we can deal with them right out of the gate and use it as a bit of a model moving forward once it gets established. Ashley, I'm not sure if you'd like to speak on this.
Sure.
Perfect.
There was quite a bit of discussion around the location of this, and it was clearly going to be in Pusna Forest, because that's the site that we run that gets the most traffic, and it's our educational site in town, and it's already very well utilized by the local schools and other community organizations. Where was a little bit, for those of you who've been there, there's a lot packed into that space. But we did identify two options that seemed most ideal. Option A is along the front curb area. There is a plan that those what are they called? The cement barricades?
No post.
What did you?
No post.
No.
No post.
Really? Okay. I wouldn't have guessed. That they'll be removed, and that will be an area that will be more based on where we'll have our different areas for onboarding things and moving them into the garden and out. And so that along that area is a potential spot. Option B is actually within the garden, as you can see, by the garden shed. The benefit of that spot is that it's just that step removed away from the main walkway, where the only people who are going to go there are going to go on purpose and with purpose, and the bins wouldn't get messed with as much. They are going to be locked, but you wouldn't get weird dumping problems in the same way as you might in the front area. And it's also where we keep the water, and yeah, it just seems a little bit more managed in the inner area in option B. But option A is a little bit more accessible on the other hand. So having a few different options to examine and put forward seemed beneficial for this.
Awesome, thank you. And so now the fun part, addressing some of the concerns that come with the compost program. So first and foremost, we have smell. And I think the important thing to underline with this is that a properly managed compost system shouldn't have any sort of smell that will be attracting animals or will be a nuisance to neighbors and that sort of concern. And usually the easiest way to address any smells that might come up as the system is getting established is to add more ground material, which is where those wood chips come in. So usually adding some wood chips, giving it a little bit of a shovel to get some air in there tends to fix the problem. And if there is still issues, then it typically means that something that shouldn't be going in the compost system is. So that's when you have people putting in a bunch of dairy or meat, and the way to address that is going to be education and having the community champion keeping an eye on what's coming in to make sure that it's just those accepted materials. Secondly, the compost system does have a higher labor demand than other systems that are maybe a bit more technologically advanced. But the way that we're addressing this is to have it be a paid position. We're not going to rely on somebody's free time to come and do this sort of work. And then we'll also have education and guidance available from the TNRD in case there are different obstacles that might arise throughout the process. Third, we have pests and wildlife. So there's a few different ways that we're addressing this one. Firstly, that wire mesh liner that I mentioned at the beginning in the design, that is meant to keep out the small vermin that might be trying to get in there. And then secondly, we have the point A, moving back up here. If the system doesn't smell, it doesn't represent much more of an attractant than just a normal garden bed or really less than even a garbage bin sort of thing. And then third, we have the option to add fencing around the units. So the units themselves will have lid locks on them to prevent any contamination that might come from people that aren't part of the program or also animals trying to get in there. But that also helps with larger animals. And then finally, we can't really see it here, but the last point there is fire, which is something that got brought up when we were initially exploring this project. And compost piles do get hot. This is made of wood, so naturally there is a concern here, although they don't tend to just spontaneously catch on fire. So the ways that we're addressing it, keeping water nearby, which we'll have regardless because the system will need water access regularly. And like Ashton mentioned, that site right in behind the shed has an existing water tap there. And then also adding those lid locks and fencing to prevent any man-made fires that might spring up there. So for our next steps, our discussion today is the first one, and hopefully we will be able to move forward from here and get this project going in Chase. And once we have hit that point, we are going to move forward by identifying somebody that can be a community champion and take care of this project for us on the inside. And then we can start installing the compost system and begin the community outreach and education and getting some households engaged with the collection of materials. And that's all I have today, unless you have anything to add.
Nothing to add, but I'm sure there's some questions, so
Yeah.
we're happy to take them.
Hang on, Peter. So we'll go to council first, if that's okay. And then, okay, Councillor Stevens.
Is this pilot being run in other communities? And if so, do they have any feedback on how the program's being run there?
In the TNRD, it's the first pilot that we're running like this. So we've been exploring options for the past 4 years to get one in place, just basically looking for the right community where people are keen. But there are similar projects happening in other areas of BC. And the response that I've found when I've been outreaching and asking people about it is that it works as long as there's somebody that's looking after it. So that's why we've gone ahead with the community champion plan instead of just having it be whoever is available sort of thing.
I have another question. So you mentioned the wood chip. So would there be like a surplus stored in the area, and whereabouts would that wood chip storage be?
Yeah, so the plan for right now is to have it in a cart, like a rolling cart that can be moved to different locations. We do have quite a bit of wood chips that we produce on site, so pretty easy for us to top those up. But in terms of additional storage, we can discuss what a good location might be if we want to have more than just the units on site.
Sure. The only reason I ask is the community does take part in the Fire Smart program, and bringing more combustible material in closer to structures is not something that we want to set by example. So yeah, definitely good conversation for the future. So then how is drop off managed then? The community We have a history of abusing drop-off sites.
Yeah, so the way that I envision this, which we haven't solidified it because it's a conversation I'd like to have with community champion and also those people that might be using it, but I think the best approach would be to have set hours for drop off where the community champion is actually present and can take a peek at what's coming in, and not just leaving it as a free for all sort of thing.
Yeah, and in this specific case, because we have weekly work fees at Food Forest already, it would fit into that context. So it's like, you know, every Tuesday between 4 and 6, it's a work fee and time that people can drop off their compost, that kind of thing.
Excellent. Right on, thank you very much.
Anybody else from council before we go to the public? Seeing none, are you okay taking a few questions? Okay,
Yeah.
Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, I only have two concerns. One is the, what you put in the bins, like you can't put in meat or fat.
Mhm.
Because that's, it's normal. The other thing is how tight are these screens?
Yeah,
Because
so,
a mouse can get in a 1/2 inch hole.
yeah, so
Just go.
thank you for bringing those things up for sure. So the accepted materials will do quite a bit of education on the front end to make sure people understand to not put meat, bones, dairy, a lot of cooked foods or a lot of breads in, because those tend to be the things that unbalance the system. In terms of the screen, we actually are contracting out getting them built so we can look at the specs of that as we move forward with getting it installed. So we can make sure they're small enough.
I'm just wondering how the 20 households will be chosen, or will it be within the composting area?
The initial idea would be that it would be nearby homes, but that's a conversation we can have in a bit more depth once we move forward a bit.
Okay, I can't remember what the next steps were. I think you had it there, but
Yeah.
you could briefly.
Yeah, so today is step one, making sure we can actually move forward in the location that we're proposing. And then past that point, it's mostly community outreach and engagement and finding somebody that would be comfortable being the community champion. At which point we can discuss some of those smaller details in terms of how they'd be comfortable running it.
Sure, sounds good. Any other questions by staff? Do you have any questions? Or?
I actually really only have one, and that would be of council, is, are you comfortable today, and I don't know if we're allowed to do this, Mr. Corporate Officer, make a decision today, or do you want to bring it back to another meeting for consideration? Mr. Corporate Officer.
So our next meeting is in 2 weeks. Would that work? We made a
Fine.
decision in 2 weeks.
Yeah, ideally, we'd like the support from the village because it's on your property. So if the village is in support, that would allow us to move forward with the rest of the planning process.
Okay.
How
Sure.
how long is the pilot project?
The 1 year.
It's 1 year.
Okay, well, sounds good, and we'll probably have this on our agenda in 2 weeks. Yeah. Thank you, it's very good, because it's just sitting on the TNRD board, I understand the cost.
Yeah.
And this, yeah,
Absolutely.
yes.
Quick question, so this is the first community, if this is a go for the pilot to trial, so Chase is would be the first community in the TNRD to actually do this?
That's correct.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Woo.
So if it worked well, that would be really neat, that we could do
Yeah.
the initial model for, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the hope, yeah.
That is absolutely our hope. If it's a successful model, then it's something that we could move into other communities around the TNRD to support our waste reduction goals.
Right on, okay, thank you.
Another question, in the future moving forward, is there a plan to have a bigger composting program than just bins in a community?
Right now, there's not a plan for a larger composting program on the TNRD side. Municipally, I'm not sure if you're talking about organics collection as part of your current waste and recycling offerings or not. But in the TNRD, our regional solid waste management plan had organics collection as a priority for the city of Kamloops, which is now done, and then prioritizes more decentralized composting systems for the rest of the region.
One thing I wondered is, there's been some controversy about using compostable bags in compost, in a compost program. Is that advocated for or not?
Yeah, the compostable bags are tough because they really vary from brand to brand so much, and some of them just won't break down in a backyard compost system like this. They'll only break down if they're in that industrial setting, super, super high temperatures. So veering on the side of caution, I would say it's probably easier to go with a no on that one. Yeah,
Yes.
What about paper bags?
those ones, yeah, those can be okay. Yeah, as long as they're not like lined in plastic or anything. if they're just-
I think some of the questions that are being asked, the idea it's a pilot project, the whole idea is to start, which is great, right, with something nice and small and you'll work out what worked and what didn't, and so I think it's a great idea. Yeah, Adriana, you have one more question and then we'll call it in. Yeah,
Question mark.
What is done with the finished product?
So that
How is that dispersed?
Yes, that will be under Chasen Area Family Services. So I imagine some of it will probably go to the community garden, but Ashton will probably be the better touch point for that, if you have any idea.
We run several garden projects around Chase, so
Yeah.
some would be used for
Oh,
that, but then I imagine that there would be some available for participants as well, for their own gardens, yeah.
okay, thank you very much, very good
Thank you.
presentation, and thank you. Have a safe drive home.
Thank you, ladies.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that was good. We will now move, we'll now move on to number 7. Reports, need a motion to accept the reports. Counselor Torban, second by Counselor Stevens, any discussion from council? I don't have to look, I keep looking now. Okay, all in favor? That's carried. 8.1 unfinished business, inter-community business license, we dealt with this in the previous meeting, we're just looking at adopting it now. Counselor Herman,
Yeah, I move that ICBL bylaw amendment 959-2025 be adopted.
seconded, Counselor Stevens, discussion? All in favor? That's carried. 8.2, committee of the whole meetings. The following recommendation has been forwarded from the January 6th, 2026 committee of the whole meeting. What council's wishes on this one? Counselor Stevens,
I'll move that the committee of the whole meetings be held on the first Tuesday of every month, starting at 4 p.m.
seconded by Counselor Herman, discussion? All in favor? That's carried. 8.3, 2026 council remuneration, and I'm gonna turn this over to the CFO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, couple quick comments. The existing policy for the council remuneration actually states that council should be receiving a 2% annual adjustment, without having to bring the report back to council. So I've written the report showing you what the, budget implication would be. Historically, this report has always come to council, so it's just been something that's been done and done and done. So as of today, I guess, council has the option to approve the 2% increase, which would then put the policy, keep the policy the way it is, and the 2% increase would happen every year unless council decides to give us a resolution to change that policy today. So that's kind of the options.
Okay, what's Counselor Stevens?
I just have one question before I read the motion, and should it read 2025 or 2026?
It should read 2026, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll continue. So, I move that council approve the 2026 council remuneration, with an increase of 2% over the current.
Seconder, Counselor Herman, discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Number 9, number 9, new business, 9.1. Proposed tree donation program, and it's It's interesting how it says tree donation program, but I think it's for. This isn't just for trees, it's for any type of
Oh,
donation.
this is for trees.
This is specifically for trees.
Yeah, for trees,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Councillor Herman,
I move that council direct administration to research and develop a draft tree replacement policy to include donations, replacements, and memorial trees on publicly owned lands and bring back a policy for consideration.
seconded by Councillor Stevens, discussion? All in favor? That's carried. 9.2 climate action intern grant opportunity, a memo from the CAO. CAO, do you wish to speak to this?
Well, I think the memo is relatively self-explanatory. We've had the opportunity we can have the opportunity to accept, some funds to hire, an intern. It would be a university student for like a 3.5 month, work term. They would have office space in the village office and, yeah, the application went in to ask for the funding to have a made in Chase for Chase climate action plan, something easy, convenient, but people feel like they're actually contributing. So that's what is proposed if council accepts.
Okay, what would council like to do? Councillor Stevens?
I move that the Village of Chase accept the $15,000 grant funding from the Pacific Institute of Climate Solutions to hire a climate action intern in 2026 to develop a made in Chase for Chase climate action plan.
Seconded. Councillor Herman, discussion?
I'm so, okay, I would.
Oh, you got
Oh,
Who do you wanna go first? You choose.
discussion?
Yeah.
Councillor.
I
Herman.
just wanted to say how excited I am over this. This is something that Climate Action Committee has been talking about. Obviously, we've been through the Village Climate Action Committee trying to figure out where we need to go and some kind of a plan. And when this came up, and John made up the grant application, it was so amazing to hear that we got it, because that is something that somebody else can organize for us and get us on the right tracks. So it was pretty exciting out of the meeting the other day to know that we were getting some help.
Okay, Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, anytime, we get an opportunity to bring in a student, I think that's great, and, it could support something long-term, depending on grant funding as well. I just have one question for staff, and do you have the capacity to manage another
Yes,
employee?
yeah,
Okay.
this person will, like I say, it's only a temporary thing. We are going to be looking for somebody that's already in a program that, looks at climate change or resource management or whatever, and so, yeah. And we do anticipate they'll be doing most of their work remotely, like from home if they can, and being out in the field talking to people.
Excellent.
So we first and seconded it, and that was discussion. All in favor? That's carried. Number 10, notice of motion. Anybody have a notice of motion? Okay, seeing none. 11 in camera, we don't have an in-camera meeting, but 12 we released from our last in-camera meeting. The following resolution has been released from in-camera, that council direct administration to proceed with drafting a good neighbor reference guide and make it available to the public. So we just need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Councillor Torban, Councillor Stevens, all in favor? Carried, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.